Recording in progress. हेलो ओके हाँ मतलब वो सेटिंग तो वही था जस्ट वेंट बैक एंड सेट आई जस्ट क्लिक ऑन इट अगेन उसको बंद करके फिर से किया यू कैन हियर मी नाउ ओके शुड वी ट्राई द अदर वन शुड वी स्टिक हियर ऑन you can stick here I'll disconnect I'll disconnect it what do you want I consciously that is the name I like to be called is बोल करके AJ a lot of people in the professional circle will know me by AJ only Achha I'm also putting on YouTube saying that we are live now okay all the best
Hi, hello, namaste, hearty, welcome to iLead 40 session today. Such a joy to see you all. Yes, please do like the video, please do share, please comment, let me know you are here. This is a platform where we bring you conversations with leaders who have not just built careers, but they have built ecosystems. Yeah. And today's session is going to be extremely special. Extremely special because where am I getting this? Okay. Yeah. So today's session is going to be extremely special because we are not just talking about accounting or tax, we are talking about building global careers from India, the evolution of GCCs and the leadership at scale. Yeah. So we are truly honored to have you with us, Mr. Ashish Jalan, the ex-president at ConResnik. Mr. Ashish has over 25 plus years of experience and has played a very pivotal role in building and scaling GCCs in India across firms like Deloitte, PwC, KPMG, and lastly, ConResnik. From starting in a small setup in Kolkata to leading global operations, his journey is nothing short of inspiring. Okay, so let me have the pleasure of bringing Mr. Ashish into the screen. Okay, so here we have Mr. Ashish. Hello, sir. Very, very good evening. Very good evening, sir. I hope everybody is able to hear us. Please let us know how is our audio quality. When we meet in person, we ask, "How are you?" When we are meeting digital, we have to ask, "Am I audible?" So please bear with us with the initial setup. So, very, very good evening, sir. Mr. Ashish, hearty welcome to 40 session at iLead Tax Academy. It's absolute pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you, Nanda Kumar. Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to be invited and privileged to join this platform. It's really exciting to come and be part of an initiative which you have started. So looking forward connecting, especially with your students and young professionals, and hopefully having helping careers journey, sharing my career journey, which has been with uncertainty, making sure that the learning curves and the growth moments are there. And I'm happy to share some experiences today. Hopefully, that can help people relate to or navigate their own path with more confidence and clarity. So looking forward to the discussion, and thank you everyone for participating and listening in.
Yeah. Well, so before we get into the serious stuff, I wanted to start with something personal, sir.
Sure.
If your
Thank you
life
for putting me on the spot.
if your life were a movie, what would the title be today?
Actually, I've been asked that question before in one of the podcasts, and I think it still remained with the same question.
Yeah.
And some of your younger generation may not, but they'll probably know the actor Amir Khan.
Oh,
His
nice.
first movie,
Huh.
Kayamat Se Kayamat Tak, and that's a movie I relate to. Some of the songs in the movie I relate to. The lone child of a father, Papa कहते हैं बड़ा नाम करेगा बेटा हमारा कुछ काम करेगा. That was what my parents thought that I would be doing. So that's a movie I definitely relate to, and I feel that my journey has been somewhat similar. My personal life has been similar. I didn't elope with my girlfriend slash wife, but it was very relatable, and the movie which I was in college days, so still relate to that.
That's really nice, sir. Some of my team members were saying, "Is Dharmender sir, on screen?"
Oh my God! You talk about
That's a
the
message
legend
on
and,
my
and
personal WhatsApp. So, sir, Mr.
he,
Ashish looks like
uh,
Dharmender. I got a comment. So,
thanks for the comment, whoever's given. Thank you. But yeah, no, Dharmendra is no longer the great Dharmendra is no longer with us. But again, he was the romance hero. I'm not one. I'm a very simple guy. But yeah, thank you for the comment. Appreciate it.
okay, okay, fine, sir. So, I have seen some of your other interviews also, and you have spoken about starting from a very humble background in Kolkata. So, what mindset helped you take those early risks and step into the professional world? If you can highlight to my students and clients
Yeah.
and team.
Yeah, you definitely have done your homework. Yeah, to be honest with you, I didn't even fully see them as risks, as you said. I was too young, too a novice, to kind of think that what I'm going to be doing is risks. Obviously, coming from a lower middle class family, the resources were limited, and very early on, you realize that the only so-called real currency that you have, which you can go out and potentially use and cash, is to do your hard work and think outside of the situation, right? There was a moment of doubt actually I had back in college days, or right after college. We had a very close group of friends we were part of, and right from just after kindergarten, we were all together for school, high school, college. In fact, I didn't get into the I got into the Premier College in Calcutta, but did not join because my friends did not get through. But then so and then post the college, everybody went into their professional business, their businesses, their entrepreneurial ventures, family, etc. I didn't had one. So there was a period in the mid '90s where I kind of had a moment of doubt that can I do this alone? But I had a choice to make. My kind of background gave me a little bit of fearlessness that if my parents believe that I can do it, then I can definitely do it. So there was I actually knew what bottom line was like. So the downside was limited, and I kind of felt that anything which I do is an upside from here.
Okay.
So yeah, it was a very humble beginning, and I've always told that I took my son a few years back to my school and college, and how I kind of grew up. And I said that if I can do it, I was definitely not the smartest in the class or in my friend circle, but I always tell them that if I can do it, then anybody can.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Your mother played a huge role in your journey. What I little learned. So, how does that influence reflect in your leadership today, sir?
A lot actually. My leadership, my personality. She was a lady of. She is actually a lady of ahead of her times. She always believed that getting a professional qualification was important. So even though nobody in my family at that point had actually done a full time corporate role or a job, she insisted that I go and get a qualification. She also was someone who really believed in me. So kind of even though I didn't had a lot to kind of look up to from a professional perspective, she always believed that she kept telling me that I believe you can do it, and she had this quality of holding me to a high standard. And I kind of feel that when when you trust people, and you the trust you place in them, people rise up to that level, right? Not just the bar you set up for them, but the amount of trust and so she fully believed in me. She trusted me. She believed that I can do it. I have it in me, and I kind of think that kind of stick with me. To your point on the leadership, I feel that that's something I've started to believe. I tell a lot of my people. I learned this from one of my ex-colleague, ex-boss, that you don't have to earn my trust. You have it on day one. Now it's up to you to see if you need prove me wrong that I did not trust the right person. So you don't have to earn the trust. The trust is given on day one, and now it's up to the individual. So the moment the onus of that changes, the person doesn't have to earn the trust. Now he's up to him to try and live up to that trust. And when you do that, when you turn the table around, you realize that that does amazing things for people confidence.
Did people honor your trust? 25 years.
Sorry.
Did people honor your trust? 25 years as a
Yeah,
leader.
majority of them. I think
Majority.
there's always
Good.
somebody who would have a different perspective and they want to do it differently, and that
Yeah.
I totally respected that. But more often than not, I've been amazed with some of the scenarios where people have really, when you meet them and you see them, you don't feel that they'll be, do they really have it in you, kind of a question. But the moment you start placing the trust on them, they kind of go out to make it a success, which then makes it a win-win.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the toughest transition, sir, early in your career? At what age
Uh,
did you get into job?
I actually got for today's Gen Z or Gen Y, whatever. I was very late. I think I got into my first job at the age of 25. I was a decent student, academician. I topped my school. I was a rank holder in CA. So I
Oh,
kind of felt that
awesome.
academics was decent. And I kind of felt that once I did my chartered accountancy and got a rank in the finals, I kind of thought, yeah, I've landed, right? I have arrived. I've done what I needed to do. Little did
Absolutely.
I know, within a few months, I realized that no, that was just the beginning, my friend. I went to the campus. That was the first year in '97. CA Institute was held their first so-called induction program or this one in Delhi. I'd gone to Delhi to do that. So, from helping you understand how do you appear for the interview, your body language, sign language, what to say, what not to say, they kind of taught us. And I kind of thought that, oh, but then I did not land one job in that was the campus in Delhi. Came back to Calcutta and didn't had a job as again for another 2 months. So within 3 to 4 months, all the air which I had developed in my mind more than anything else went out of the window. And I had to really struggle to find a decent job. It came along pretty quickly after that, but the beginning were very humble. To your point about the toughest transition, I think as you go along. So when I started my career, I had done corporate finance roles. So you did what typical chartered accountants would do. Work for Satyam Computers, ITC Agro, and did corporate finance related work, etc. The big technical challenge came when I moved at the turn of the century. And I'm sure you know this, Anda, but I had the fortune and pleasure of working and setting up both the Deloitte India Center, which is in Hyderabad and other places, and the PwC India Center from scratch. I was the first employee in both those organizations. But from a subject matter perspective, I was an Indian tax professional. So for me to then learn US tax was something which was very, very new. So that was a big challenge, learning US tax, getting my enrolled agent qualification, getting my CPA qualification.
Oh, you're a EA
Um,
also.
yeah, I did my enrolled agent in 2003, and in those days,
Oh,
EA.
people don't know anything about EA those days.
Oh, is it? Yeah, actually, the exam wasn't happening in India.
Yeah, yeah.
So I had actually gone to Dallas,
Oh.
and it used to be a pen and paper exam. It wasn't even a digital exam.
Listen, students, pen and paper. Yeah, okay, sir.
So I had to do an AMT, alternative minimum tax calculation, on Form 6251. I still remember that.
Oh,
I had to do it by hand, and I just don't know what I did. So somehow I passed.
oh.
But what was interesting was, because I didn't had the money or the financial freedom. I had gone on a business trip to the US. I used to do a lot of business trips. My first trip was right after 9/11. So on one of the business trips, I requested my partner that can I stay for 2 days additional on a Friday and a Saturday. So I gave 4 papers across 2 days. And I knew that was my first and only chance. If I don't pass, I will never pass. I'll not have the money maybe to go back to the US. And as luck would have it, I cleared the exam and I passed it in one attempt.
Oh,
But that was from a technical perspective a challenge, Ananda.
Yeah.
But I've always felt that the biggest transition came more in terms of leadership. And what I mean by that is, what does technical excellence do? Technical excellence gives you a scorecard, a sheet. For example, people who are in tax or accounting would probably relate that you either know a tax code or you don't know, right?
Correct.
You know a number on the balance sheet or you don't know a number, right? It is a lot of it is, tax technical is mostly black and white. Leadership on the other side is totally ambiguous. It's far more ambiguous, right?
Absolutely.
You do not know what situation you would need to come across, what decision you need to make. A lot of the time, it's the gray, which is what is more the area which you will be required to judge on, not so much the black and white. So I do feel that the leadership transition, and I got into leadership roles pretty early in my career. In Deloitte days, when I was there, I was only a manager, but I was still running the center. I was part of driving, looking at P&L, etc. So leadership, in my view, actually demands not your knowledge, but your judgment about people. How do you judge people? How do you judge scenarios? How do you make an informed judgment and still be able to substantiate and build on that?
Absolutely. You have had a very unconventional and bold career journey from what I have a little seen from LinkedIn and other posts. So, if you can tell us a little about your aha moment, at PwC, Big Four, what really changed for you?
Yeah, so I remember this very, very clearly. This was 2012. some point in time. And in those days, the Big Four structure was very different. So I was what was in today's term, or even then, it was called associate director, but the next level was partner. Because there were many levels between manager and associate director, unlike a lot of the firms today. After today, in associate director, you have director, you have executive director, associate partner, partner, all those levels are there. But in those days, those levels were before associate director. So I was next in line for partner. And I realized that I will not make partner in PwC because the structure had changed. It had moved away from a partnership firm to a corporate, and in those days there was nobody an India partner. But more than the title in this, I kind of felt that I've done a lot in 15, 16 years from 97 to 2012. And then my India head and I had a conversation, and he told me, I went back and asked him, hey, you know what, what's in it for me? Where do you see my career, opportunity, all of that? And he didn't give me an answer. He actually told me that you come back and tell me what you want to do, and he actually asked me a question that what do you want to do in the rest of your career? That was his question. And I was like, here am I looking for a solution, looking for an answer, and all he's telling me is that he's asking me, what do I want to do? What do I see as a career? And I said, what about the 17 years or 15 years I've spent so far? You're telling me what about the future, but what about the past, right? So it was a not so good conversation, personally speaking, but that was my aha moment as well. So I went back on a weekend, and then I realized that, hey, you know what? I feel that I've achieved a lot in life, but then I've only worked for 15 years. I have another 20 years to go for retirement. And that was my aha moment, that if I have more journey ahead, then I have what I have traversed, then I need to be making sure that I take the reins in my hand. I cannot be putting it on somebody else. And that's when I decided that I would move out of Big Four. You mentioned about the unconventional as well, and if I can touch upon that for a
Yeah, sir.
second.
Yeah.
I
All
think
yours.
one of the things that I tried to do, Nanda, in my life consciously is look at two main things. I never looked at title. I never looked at compensation, and I'll tell you why. I've always looked for good brands and great companies to work with, and I've looked at roles. And when those have not matched, or those have not been challenging enough, I have not looked at the option. So working with Satyam in the pre Y2K days to ITC and then Deloitte, PwC, Shell, kind of feel that I worked with the best brands, and that was my a conscious decision, and then the role particularly as well, because I've also believed that titles don't mean much. Um, you can be a president, which I was in my previous company. You can be a manager, you can be an executive, chief executive. But if you do not know what you are doing, if your role is not being challenging enough, anybody who's worth its salt can quickly see through the CV. You can write whatever you want. So I've always believed that having the role, and that is, and then because of that, I have taken up unconventional roles. I sometimes was lucky as well. It was not always doing it consciously. There were some underlining principles, but I got thrown at the deep end of the pool very early, and the only choice I had was to either drown or swim, and beat my legs, move my feet, whatever it is, move my hand, and then survive. And once I survived and did that, then that became my USP, that I could thrive in any scenario.
That's nice.
But when I reflect on it today, Nanda, and this is for your young professionals as they look at this interview, there is one learning there as well, which I think would be helpful. A lot of time people say, you know what, I'm an audit guy, and I want to do audit, and I'm a tax guy, I want to do tax, or technology for that matter. A lot of times you need to know your domain, and you need to be an expert in that domain for sure, but you need to understand the business. If you only know tax, you'll never make the executive or chief executive of the firm. You'll
Absolutely,
never
sir.
make a CEO if you only
Absolutely.
know tax. Similarly, if you only know audit, you will probably not. I think probably, like less likelihood, let's put it that way, of you achieving a chief executive by just knowing audit as an example. You can become a partner, you can do that, but for you to achieve the pinnacle of corporate world, which is the chief executive officer, unless you understand the business, and that means understanding HR, that means understanding finance, that means understanding IT, that means
Wonderful.
understanding everything around that. And my roles have given me that exposure, have given me that the need of the role was that I got my finger into literally everything, and so it became unconventional. But I do feel that when people look at it, they need to step out of their comfort zone, go and take a role which is slightly challenging to you, do it for 12, 18 months, and if you want to come back, you can always come back to the domain. You're not going to forget your domain in a year, but if you go out and do that, chances are that you will expand your knowledge, you'll expand your understanding, and that holds you really well in the long run.
Wonderful, wonderful. Like what you said, you don't care about the compensation or the company, but the role and the challenges that you face. So, from your experience, how did you personally evaluate risk versus opportunity when making any big career moves? And what do you think, the current working professional should keep in mind?
Yeah, when you there is a Hindi. You talked about movie earlier, right? So I'm trying to add a little bit of flavor to this as well.
Yeah, bataiye.
There is a Harshad Mehta series which
Scam.
was done,
Scam. Hmm.
which says "Ishq hai to risk hai to ishq hai," right? So
Nice.
there is nothing you will achieve without taking risks.
Yes.
And risk doesn't mean jump off the 12th floor or the 20th floor without a lease line, right? Or a strap.
इश्क है तो रिस्क
Risk
है.
means,
Nice.
sorry.
इश्क है तो रिस्क है. Yeah.
Yeah, and if it was so straightforward, then anybody would do it, right? Why would somebody not do it? But you have to be very measured in that. You cannot be oppressive about it. You cannot be doing it without a reasonable amount of thought process, right? But if you just expect that it would be something which would be straightforward, which you want to know the outcome before you plunge into it, then you are not stretching the envelope. And the other thing also is that you mentioned about risk versus judgment. The other thing you need to do also is that you need to realize what's your backup, right? For me, my risk taking came from the fact that I had a very solid upbringing, which kind of tell me that if you do the right things, good things happen to good people, right?
Absolutely.
So if I was honest, I was hardworking, I kind of did more than my share of the deal, then things will happen, right? And today's generation, honestly speaking, is far more smarter and far more dynamic than I was at that age. And as long as people understand that, in the opportunity you mentioned about risk and opportunity, as long as you understand that when you take up a role, a career, an initiative, you need to think about what is it that you are bringing to the role, but also what is it that the role will bring to you, right? It's also important to understand whether you will grow in that role or not, right? Whether you will learn something new or not, and will this open some potential doors for you in future or not, right? And if the answers to at least a couple of them is yes, then you need to take a chance. And mention about the backup and the ecosystem also. It's also important that you make mistakes. Only when a young child gets onto the cycle will he or she fall, and only when he or she falls will she learn to bicycle.
Yeah.
But the fall or the mistake, I've always believed, should not be such large that you cannot undo it. So make sure that you make mistakes, but learn from those mistakes. Don't repeat the mistakes. And like I said, think about it that if this is going to teach you or learn you something, then by all means grab it.
Absolutely. How many companies have you worked, sir, in this 25 years?
Uh, Obviously, it's on the LinkedIn, so there's nothing to hide here. But I'll give you a
Count you can tell.
perspective.
Count you can tell. You need not say the
No, I'm
names.
not getting into the number also because that's not relevant here. What's probably relevant is what I will share with you is the journey around that. So if you see my journey in the first 5 years, I probably did 4 different jobs.
Okay.
or 7 years. But in the last 20 years, I've done this too,
Okay.
right? So it is also about how your role kept changing rather than you changing the role. And working with PwC, Shell, KPMG. My last stint was one of the shorter ones with ConResnik for 2 years. But realistically speaking, in all the roles. For me to move out was because I started to feel that I'm not, the role is not bringing enough to me. I'm a partner, I'm an executive director, I'm a manager, I'm getting my salary. That's fine, and I'm obviously contributing, which is why the company is keeping me. But at times, the roles were not giving me back enough, and I've always been, quite optimistic and challenging the envelope. So that's the reason. But I do feel that people need to find a sweet spot. Gone are the days where like our forefathers. I mean, my forefathers were in business, but I know a lot of people who joined from college and MBA and retired from that company. That generation is definitely behind us for sure. So people definitely need to try out, different organization, different cultures. But I feel that it starts to stabilize as you go forward.
Well, now somebody at a CXO level or at a leadership level, sir, from your lens, how can they know that it's time to move on from their role?
Good question. I think you need to follow your gut at a very, very simple level. You need to, look for some signals and some flavors around it. Again, it will never be a perfect answer, but as I said, the first thing is that you stop learning. You're not learning any new things, not just skills. It's not that you keep learning new skills, but are you getting involved in judgment? Are you taking some informed decisions, etc.? So that's one key thing. Um, I also feel that at a very tactical level, if every day feels like yesterday, then that's another sign, right? If you get up on a Monday and you think that, okay, what's in it? Why do I go to office today? And what is going to be exciting? And that's somewhere a flag for you to be thinking about. Uh, Also, when you in your job, when you start giving your best, when you feel that you're doing the bare minimum what is required, you're not stretching yourself, and not stretching because your boss is asking to stretch, but stretching because you are enjoying the stretch. That I think is another sign. And last but not the least, it's sometimes the most difficult one. It's hard to admit sometimes that you sense that you're comfortable in the role, and you're comfortable in your zone, and then you have to take that tough call that you want short-term comfort versus long-term pain, or short-term pain versus long-term gain. And then sometimes you need to take that call, and like I said, you have to trust your judgment. You are there because of your own abilities. You're not there because somebody did you a favor. So you have achieved that position with a lot of learning, with a lot of experience. So trust your judgment, and chances are you will not go wrong.
Okay, let me reverse the question, sir. Now, from a CXO's desk. Now, how do we know that we have to let go somebody?
Uh, Again, I think there are some easy answers to that, right? Which is obviously, performance starts to dip. I had a couple of scenarios in my career where a superstar performer, suddenly performance went off the radar, right? So you have to look for what is causing that, right? Is it a personal issue? Is it a phase he's going through personally or professionally, which is causing that dip? Or is it the fact that he's absolutely lost interest and he's staying there for money? So you have to probe a little bit. You have to kind of put your arms around individual, and give them the long rope, right? Somebody makes the first mistake doesn't mean you chuck the person out. That's not the culture anybody should have, least of all our kind of organization where we invest in people. But you need to be making sure that you are having an honest conversation as well, right? You have to be calling the person and telling him why you feel that he or she is not doing what you expect him what to do, either in terms of the performance, or in terms of how they carry themselves, whatever it could be. But be open, transparent in your conversation, be candid. Take the emotions out. It's not easy, right? The person could be your friend, could be an ex-colleague. So you have to take the emotions out, at the same time recognizing that you are being sensitive to his feelings. No, the tone becomes important, the body language becomes important, and all of that. So a combination of factors. But I'll tell you one more thing, Nanda, very clearly. If you realize that after all of that, it's not working, then you need to be able to be cut your losses as well. You have to be making sure that you do not drag it, or for a second, do not do, because you're not doing fair to the individual also. A lot of time people say, you let go this person, but if the person is not successful in the role, and you have given him a long rope, as I said, multiple opportunities, and he's still not able to do it, chances are that in longer run he will not be successful in this setup. There's nothing wrong with the individual. It's sometimes the skills and the value is bringing is not tying with the environment in which he is working today. So sometimes it's good to be liberated, and go out and find what's worked for you. So it's also important that if it is not working, that you be open and transparent about it.
Good. Now, coming to the GCC evolution, sir. You have seen the GCC story right from day one. You completed your CA in 1997, so you know a lot. And trust me, you are the first person I am talking to as an enrolled agent who wrote the examination with pen and paper. So I have been, doing this with Prometric. Now, the PSI I have taken up. But good that, there were days when people used to write it in pen and paper. Now, well, how has the India GCC story evolved, sir, from cost arbitrage to the latest talent hubs that's coming?
Yeah. So as you said yourself, the cost chapter, I think that was the first chapter, and I think the chapter is largely written, and the obituary is behind us, right? People obviously still come to India for cost, but if cost is your only leverage or arbitrage, then you are probably not leveraging the full scale benefit. The second phase, or the evolved phase, is and actually I feel that we are also exiting that now. In many ways, we are already in that advanced stage of that. Is the capability building, right? Where we move up the value chain. We're not doing just data, but we're also reviewing. We are engaging with the client. So India can do a lot more sophisticated, complex work, I believe. Right? For example, when I was with PwC, we were the first ones who were reviewing and signing tax returns, US tax returns from India. Initially 1040s, and then 1120s, and then obviously other firms were doing it as well around that same time. But to your point about the next phase of evolution, I think the interesting element would be that GCCs, as they are entering in today, what about them, right? Can they come to India and make decisions that actually shape the client outcome or not? Is the question they need to ask themselves, right? Are you trying to lower your margins or lower your cost and increase your margins, or you are able to use India and the capability to actually impact the client outcome? That means be able to front end discussions with the client. That means to be involved in the RFPs with the client. That making sure that you are able to then bid for client at a price and a value, keeping the India delivery center or the global delivery center in mind, which means you're turning the scenario. Historically, what has happened is you would get a work, and then you would send it to your team in India, or wherever, Philippines or others, because you wanted to do a cost arbitrage. Where we are looking at going in the future is, and already some companies are doing it, where you start going to the market knowing that a lot of your work will get done in India. So you're already baking them as part of your main strategy. The other thing in the evolution, I think, is we need to be moving away from doers to drivers, right? I think not follow a checklist to do your tax return, or not follow a given set of guidelines to do a audit review. You need to have different kind of leadership. You also need to bring different kind of hiring, right? You need to be able to, and when I say hiring, it doesn't mean I'm not trying to differentiate between a CPA or a non-CPA, but what I mean is people who are willing to invest in their careers. A lot of times when I go into interviews and I've done a lot of leadership hiring, I tell people that this is an ocean, right? If you think that you thought that whatever you, especially professional services, CPA firms, I mean, If you thought that you had learned everything, then that's not right. You need to be, because you will experience new things every, especially in the client-facing role, new things of an industry, of a law change, new law will come in. You need to be able to react that. So you need to have that flexibility that you're continuing to invest in yourself, and that is what I meant by different kind of hiring, and ensuring that you are, as you move up the value chain, as you evolve your center, that you also develop a trust relationship with the counterpart. A lot of times, the global teams don't see India or the GCCs as a trusted advisor. They see them as somebody who will execute what is being asked. So, you start to need to build a different kind of trust with the counterparts to ensure that you are able to move up the value chain. But I have no doubt in my mind that we're already seeing, like I said, in many companies where they're doing it, but the next set of evolution will be there, where you move up the value chain and start to own and front end and drive the engagement entirely from front to back from India.
Do you see India becoming more of a innovation hub and not just some execution center, sir? With the way technology is
Yes and no.
evolving, skills are evolving, what do
Yes
you
and no.
think?
And I say, I'll tell you why I say the no first, because by design, a little bit of this is how our education system is. Our education system isn't one where kids are taught to innovate at a young age. They're given a book, and you're supposed to read the book and come up with an answer, and that's about it. You look at the American way of education in school. There's no curriculum at all. There isn't a book. There isn't a theory which is given. Kids are taken to a playground and then asked to
Yeah.
study about trees and animals and all of that. So there is a bit of a reason why America is the innovation center of the world. I was actually reading an article. The number of innovations America has done from 1900 to now, starting from the aeroplane to internet, and then obviously the latest iPhone, which people will relate to, and now obviously the entire your AI related boom. But I also feel that there is opportunity to innovate, right? What we need to be doing for that innovation. And innovation doesn't mean bringing in technology and automation. That's one part of it. But innovation in how you approach your talent strategy, innovation in how you go to market, innovation in how you build your culture in the organization. But for innovation to truly happen, the teams and the employees in India, for example, need to be empowered. They need to be trusted, and a lot of times people don't always. They say that I trust you, they say that I'll empower you, but they'll come and ask you next day morning, hey, what's the status of my project? What happened? Right? And that's truly not empowerment. And I also think that innovation only happens when you have some amount of tolerance for failure, right? A lot of times, we don't have a lot of appetite for that. So when you experiment, is when you will innovate, and when you experiment, chances are some experiments will fail, some will be really egg on your face, but that this was uncharted territory, and as long as you have that willingness, culture, or and appetite for that, there's no reason. The Indian talent, what we see, not just now but over the years, are some of the best guys. You look at, just to give another example, why you look at all the MNCs and large MNCs today, whether it is Sundar Pichai or anybody else, they're all Indians by design, right?
Yep.
They've been extremely successful and innovative in India, not so much in the US, not so much in India, because in that culture, it is perfectly good to fail. And people don't look down based on what you did or what your title is. They just believe and trust on you. And I think in that sense, our society and our culture, but corporates, I mean, that's the philosophical side. Corporates can do a lot better by creating some sandbox and some innovation models to ensure that people have that opportunity.
That's nice. You spoke about tolerance. I remember something from the past. I read it somewhere. The freedom to make mistakes gives the best platform for creativity.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well,
Absolutely. Someday when I'll write my autobiography, or my reflection, I mean, I can tell you, I cannot cover everything on this call, not because of anything else, but because of time. The number of mistakes I think I have made in my life, I don't think I would have done that if I had taken the beaten path. So you learn from your mistakes, and you realize that if you're doing something for the first time, or you're trying to create something which there is no manual or no reference code or no process guide to look at, you will make mistakes. So
Absolutely.
then that's part of the innovation.
इंसान है गलतियां
Absolutely.
होते ही रहते हैं.
To err is human.
Yeah,
To err is
absolutely.
human.
Absolutely. Now, this is something our audience may really care about. So, if you had to design an ideal professional, sir, as a mentor for 2030, let's say, 4 साल से अभी, what skills do you think would matter the most?
Uh, a few. I would probably touch upon that, and maybe I'll try and talk about this. One, I think, is communication. In every business, in every
Absolutely.
industry, communication is important, because what you are thinking and what you would want to say and what you end up saying can be two or three totally different things, right?
क्या
Either
बोला
in terms
क्या
of the
बोलना
words you
चाहता
choose, yeah,
था.
either the words you choose, the tone you choose, how you said what you said, so communication, and having a very structured communication is important. The other is judgment, right? What I call, like, contextual, right?
Decision
uh,
making, you mean?
Yes,
Yeah.
decision making, and in the context, right? A decision taken today uh, may seem not so good 3 years later or 5 years later, and you don't know what the future holds. And that's why I said it in the context, because the ability to read a situation and adapt to that is what is going to be important from a future perspective. And I think the other thing, as I said, learning, which I also look at, call it curiosity. Having that curiosity, both intellectual and otherwise, putting some commercial lens obviously around that, are things. Being a technically good guy is absolutely table stakes even today. Forget about 2030, right? If you are not technically sound, if you are not if you don't know your subject inside out like the back of your hand, then you don't have a head start itself, right? That's a given. I'm not even talking about that. But beyond that, a lot of the times, which people call soft skills or life skills, I think, again, if you look at our education system, that's not something which education system by design put a lot of effort on life skills. And I think that as you come into corporate, you need to be able to invest in yourself, attend programs, make sure that uh, what you do, how you do, and having that curiosity will and having that calibration will be a significant judgment in terms of going forward. I think the only other thing which comes to mind, Nanda, is the possibly the fourth one could be, and again, all in that same scope of domain of skills, is resilience, and having that willingness to fight when things are chips are down, and being resilient and not walking away when things are not going in your favor is another skill. And obviously culture goes along with that, with the communication, because when you work in CPA firms, GCCs, etc., understanding the other person's culture, making him or her understand your culture, is going to be absolutely important for people of future, at least in this accounting professional businesses.
Um, Very often, I see a lot of people, starting business from India. Now, just in Hyderabad, from the place I am sitting now, at least within 50 kilometers range, there are at least 50 plus companies, students or team, people who worked with me and they have started the companies. And I'm sure, there are many other Indians also, especially, from the north. If you see Ahmedabad, Delhi, Gujarat, and all that, there are so many people, who start these outsourcing or CPA firms here in India. So, as somebody with over 2 decades of experience, uh, where do Indian professionals still need to improve globally? I'm not talking about the big fours and all, because definitely there's a foreign impact on them. But these people, desi jo hai, how can they still have a global impact? What are the skills that they need to improve on?
Yeah, so it in a way it's tied to the previous one, which you said about
Yeah.
the professions for 2030.
Huh.
And I'll give you an honest and straight answer on this. Nanda. I think when I look at, and I have had one experience. I don't know, people may or may not know. It doesn't always come out on LinkedIn, etc. I've said it in my previous podcast, etc. I truly believe that I am the professional today because of the experiences I gained. And that experience was not just in India, but I had the fortune and do three rotations in my career. I worked in Singapore, I worked in Germany, I worked in London, and I've lived there. And last but not the least, going to the US. And when I and the reason I say that in the context of your question is that I think there is no doubt. There is no two ways of thinking about the talent India has, right? Absolutely top notch talent, extremely hardworking people. There's absolutely no parity for that at any globe level. But as you said, we still lag at times, or perceive to be lagging, even if not actually lagging, perceived to be lagging from a global perspective. What I've seen is when I've worked with, and I've had people from different countries reporting to me. So when I was at Shell, I had managing 15, 16 countries. Many of those professionals would report into me. Similarly, in other firms, including in ConResnik in my previous role, I realized that global professionals, especially those in the Western world, US, UK, etc., are often trained either consciously or subconsciously to present with conviction, right? Whether they know the answer or not, even if the answer is not fully formed, they can speak well, right? And at times we as professionals, again through our culture, we are a little bit hesitant, right? We wait for 100% accuracy. We probably want to ask the question, something somebody says, in an audience, say, do you have a question? Please raise your hand. And I may have the best question and I know I have it, but I still raise my hand because I want to be 100% certain. I don't want to make a, feel that, I'm being asking an odd question. So you want to be 100% certain. But in a fast moving environment, that can actually be perceived very indifferently. That actually seems as passivity. That actually get perceived in the US as that as a capability gap, but it is not. It is actually only confidence and calibration of that, and making sure that you are able to address that. No question is wrong, as they say, right? No question is a wrong question, or ask what you feel. And when in global organizations, when you see, especially in the Western culture, people are encouraged to ask questions. Whatever could be on your mind. Obviously, there is a forum and a way of saying things, right? But you do not need to be doing so. That's one key area in my view, Nanda, where I feel that our professionals can be trained. And again, you know what, because I am what I am because of 50 years of going through the circles. I'm not going to change, or people with 20 years, with 25 years today in your class may not change overnight. But just being aware of it, just being conscious of it, and maybe doing it in, if you attend 20 meetings in a week, maybe do it in, identify which are the two main meetings that week, where you're meeting with the executive, or you're meeting with the board, or you're meeting with your partner. Remember, it will probably be in your calendar, right? So plan for it, think of it, ask that question, and get perceived as somebody who knows the shit, and bring that confidence, and that goes a long way to change that perception.
Absolutely, absolutely. Quick pause here, sir. We would also love to hear from the audience. People, thank you very much. As of now, I see some 1500 plus people live. Thank you
Wow.
very much for your
I,
viewership.
I had it open here, but I didn't see the count.
Okay.
So that's amazing.
Yeah, thank you. So if you have any questions for Mr. Ashish, please drop them in the chat. We will pick a few towards the end. Okay. I'm doing my best to cover everything possible, but sir, you can also ping your email address in case you are interested, or you can just share your LinkedIn handle there so that people can, directly reach out to you in case they have any questions. And
Sure,
also,
sure.
people let us know if you are somebody working or planning to work in a GCC. Please let us know, and you have great insights, from Ashish sir, right himself. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so you kind of, given me an opportunity and put a challenge as well at the same time, Nanda. When you talked about, and I'm just looking at the chat here while I'm
Yeah, sir.
talking to
Go ahead.
you.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
Don't mind that. So when you say in terms of people interested in GCCs, etc.,
Ah,
I'm if you I'm looking at initiating something on my own pretty soon in
wonderful.
the
That's a good news, sir.
GCC domain. But at the same time, I think
Yeah.
a lot of times people, when you mention about, question or the CV, I also think that, today, in today's world, whether it is LinkedIn, whether it is, other platform, Glassdoor, a few others as well. There is a huge amount of opportunity, and obviously not to talk about all the AI tools, etc. right now, but there's huge amount of opportunity which people have where they don't know something, they have the entire world at their feet to go and ask. So, just grab the opportunity, folks, and make it happen, I guess. I wish I knew all of this, or at least these things existed. I still remember, when I got my first CV printed, I actually went to an actual typewriter to type it out. And when I got my first CV as an electronic print, I went to my maternal uncle office, and he got me a CV printed on an electronic printer. That itself was a huge thing. And today you can do WhatsApp, you can send your CVs on this one. So yeah, GCC is definitely the domain. And I do think that people, as they do their qualifications, CA, CP, etc., this business and this industry provides a huge amount of opportunity.
Absolutely, sir. And all the leaders, who are watching it, if there's anything that you want to do for this country, especially through iLead, just help us, create more jobs here, more entrepreneurs here. We don't charge any placement commission or anything. If you're if you really need, some freshers, I mean in taxes, bookkeeping, payroll, and all, you see our contact details below. Just ping, and our team will be more than happy to place the candidates. Yeah, that's the little favor, that we would seek from leaders like Ashish who are watching this. Yeah, if you need candidates, we'll just submit the profiles for free. You like them, please take them. That's a little request, from my end. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So you have worked across Big Four, and you've worked in so many mid-tier firms also. So how different is your experience, sir? Between Big Four and these mid-tier firms.
Uh, I think both of them have their advantages and both of them have their challenges, right? Uh, in a big four firm, that because the talent supply in India is matured, right, to a point where mid firms can also genuinely compete. When I was starting my career in the early 90s, mid 90s, when I was in school and college, Big Four was only the place you would want to work for, right? You didn't know many of these firms. In fact, there's another anecdotal, data point I'll throw out there. When I did my foundation, I was the first batch in foundation. 007 was my number for foundation. I went to articleship to PwC, and they didn't even take my CV. They said that we don't have a place for you because I came from a small school and all of that. So that day I decided that someday I'll come and work for this company. Little did I know that I'll make partners someday. So the reason why I'm saying that in the context of mid firm and the larger firm is in those days working for a big four, working for ITC, some of those FMCG companies was the thing to go. Today, there are so many more companies which are coming to India, small, mid, large, and the opportunity for people today is immense, right? So that's one thing I wanted to put out there. There's nothing, what defines the size, right? Typically what defines the mid tier versus the larger tier is their revenue, right? Deloitte is a $60 billion, another firm could be $100 million. But effectively, when you look at it, and I learned it along the journey as well, they effectively do the same thing, right? You have audit, you have tax, you have advisory, then you have your managed services, which is finance, tax, HR. So from a work perspective, they service pretty much all, not everything all, but pretty much all the industry. What happens is a big four would go after $1 billion client, or many $1 billion. All your top 50 would go to big four because of compliance requirement. But the same thing would be done by a $20 million client, and in that sense, the smaller and the mid tier firms excel there. Now, talking about professionals. I think the mid-tier firms offer something which technically large firms cannot offer, which is a lot of times, which is visibility, right? You work in a team of 500 people, you get lost into the crowd. You work in a team of three people, you'll get to know your good work, etc. So that visibility which firms bring, the larger firms don't give you, at least intuitively, right?
Yeah, yeah.
In smaller firms, you get more opportunity to take ownership. Now, opportunity doesn't mean you end up taking ownership. Then the ball is in your court, how you kind of grab the baton, so to say, without somebody actually passing it to you. Um
So you get more opportunity and a direct connection a lot of times between what you are doing and what the final outcome is, right? Because there is probably not that many layers of leadership, there's not so many layers of reviews and all of that, so there is that advantage. Now obviously big four at the same time brings brand, they bring structure, they bring a lot of learnings, right? To that, and in that sense, I think I was really fortunate that I got to work in Big Four for a large part of my career, because some of the people I worked with were much smarter than me. So in as much as I contributed, I walked away from that feeling that much more engaged and that much more meaningful. So I think in that context, and the other thing obviously Big Four has, or the larger firms has, is a deeper pocket. So you get to do more rotations and more secondments. A top 25 firm may be willing to send you to US for 6 months. A firm which is outside the top 500 may not have a deep pocket to get you to US for 3 months. So those are some pros and cons, but I do think that unlike at the beginning of the other thing about Nanda is that the industry has evolved, right? And technology has played a big role.
Yeah.
Earlier, what was happening in the big four was largely known or unknown to a lot of the other firms. Now, in today's this one, with with the advent of technology and everything else, everything is known, right? So people cannot afford to not be able to give people similar opportunities and similar learnings.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've had my share on Big Four and all, but I think today in today's environment, the mid firms provide as much opportunity as the larger firms.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Now let's talk a little bit about the future, sir. With AI coming in, what parts of taxes, accounting, or payroll will disappear, according to you?
You had to ask that question, right? And if it was not asked, I would have covered it at some point in time. I'm sure anybody who is
आई मीन
somebody,
हफ्ते में
either on
एक
this.
बार तो भी एक क्वेश्चन आता है मुझे कि सर विल एआई टेक अवे माय जॉब. आई मीन हाल ही में लास्ट वीक मैंने एक वीडियो बनाया था, विल एआई टेक अवे अकाउंटिंग जॉब्स. अभी लोग सोचेंगे कि मैं एकेडमी चला रहा हूँ इसीलिए कुछ बक रहा हूँ. नहीं, मैं एक प्रैक्टिशनर भी हूँ, आप एक प्रैक्टिशनर हो. सो आई वांट टू हियर इट फ्रॉम यू. इफ वी गेट एन अलाइनमेंट व्हेन टू और मोर अग्री देन इट विल मैनिफेस्ट. सो आई नीड अ buy-in from you also. What are your thoughts on that?
So they will take jobs.
Yeah.
AI automation will take jobs, but
Yeah.
they actually create more opportunity, right?
Yes.
And if you look at, I'm just seeing at the window, there are 1,600 people on this speak call
Yeah.
live as we speak, and I'm sure a few thousand will see it at some point in time. Technology creates more jobs. The fact that we are talking about CPA, EA, GCCs, etc., is all because of technology. These jobs did not exist 20 years back, right?
Absolutely, sir.
So the fact that technology will take away jobs, absolutely. Let's not fool ourselves when we say that some jobs will not go away, but we have to understand what will go away, right? It is
Yeah.
we kind of loosely say that I lose my job, but let me help try and understand. Uh, what will go away is what can be absorbed by machines, right? Which is work which is rule based, work which is data intensive, standard processing. 1 plus 1 is equal to 2 will definitely go away. But one and 1 11, or 1 plus 1 don't make it
Synergy.
22 or 11.
Yeah.
That will never go away, right?
Correct.
Trivial tasks will go away. Those can be automated, will go away, and they're already happening, right? There are many tasks, etc. Which are already getting automated. Companies are moving away from that. But what will also go stronger is judgment, right? Roles which require judgment, which require you to take a position, right? It's not black or white, where you are able to do review, where it is about providing a perspective, where it is about sharing some structure, where it is about giving some advice, right? In terms of what do I do if I have option, if I have one or two, and both are equally apparently. That's some of those roles. And in the context of the accounting firms, if I were to say, your tax balance reconciliation with book to tax differences will get automated, because and my couple of previous companies back in this one, I'm not going to take name on this call. 10 years back, we were writing chart of accounts, and the system was coded in a way that they knew that this would be a permanent adjustment or temporary adjustment, right? So manual intervention was not required. But at the same time, professionals who will thrive are who sees this as an opportunity to expand their leverage, right? Who don't get threatened by the fact that, oh, if AI comes, I'll lose my job. But how is it that I can use AI to get my job better? If I were going to do an Excel calculator and do an Excel trial balance, what is it that I can do AI to do, and how is it that I can then take that knowledge and the data to then come up with a judgment for the client? So bottom of the pie, data entry, automated, all of that will go away. But decision making and judgmental, which requires somebody to interpret, apply. For example, working with people, right? If you have a team member who is, not happy or disappointed or had a bad day, or I didn't have a good year, yeah, you cannot have that conversation with that individual, right? You have to bring that person into the room, help him understand where he went wrong, give him that perspective, put an arm around the shoulder, take him out for lunch, and still make sure that he turns that around. AI will never be able to do that, or will never, not in that context. So yeah, there is bound to have that perception that jobs go away. But as I said, these jobs didn't exist 20 years back. So we are doing that today. So what comes after 10 or 20 years, we don't know. So we have to embrace technology. The more we resist it, chances are the more we end up, delaying getting onto the bandwagon. The more we embrace it, the sooner we are on the bandwagon, the faster we'll be able to make the transition.
That's nice. What are your favorite AI tools, sir?
Of late, it has been Chat GPT, Cloud. I mean, I'm still, I still don't get that much time, but I have used it quite a bit in the last year. Microsoft Copilot, they're all similar in a way, but I've used it a lot in the last year than compared to the previous years, since beginning of 2025. It actually sometimes, in Indian context, people who are at least in finance will relate. In India, the savings habit government started over the years by linking it to tax. If you save money as a provident fund, etc., you will save tax.
Yeah.
Similarly, at times some of these tools have to be forced down. So our couple of my colleagues and others enforced us that anything we do has to be routed through the co-pilot, right? And that kind of, forced people to start using it. And I can tell you, from first-hand experience that some of the things which it does is unbelievable, right? You have to be, asking the right questions. I actually started creating projects under that, and then talk to it as a friend. And this is what I'm thinking. And it gives me an answer. I'll say, I don't agree because of ABC reasons. And then it try and counter it. Okay. And so it kind of starts to become a very collaborative, a digital friend kind of thing is how you have to embrace it.
Absolutely. What are your favorite tax softwares?
Uh, I've used quite a few. I've used Go System, I've used Pro Systems, I've used CCH. On the Indian side, I've used Tally, I've used a bit of SAP, Oracle Financial. So, but those
Favorite.
were.
What's your
Yeah,
favorite?
I think the first one, obviously, Go System, where I learned my doing 1040s, is the first love is always special, right? So that was my first love.
First love, right? Well, sir, you have also built teams, cultures, and then careers also. Now, what's one leadership principle you strongly believe in? Because I think, many people are good in performing, because over a period of time, people will learn the skills. Abhi with AI and other things, there's nothing that, people don't know. Even now, whatever we are talking, people can extract the minutes and, just go over it. Even if we talk 2 hours, they can get 2 minutes snippet also. Now, what is that leadership principle you personally believed in, or you encourage people to believe? If it is more than one, also you can share certain leadership principles.
Yeah, I think empathy and integrity is two things, right? And one of them is internal looking, one of them is external looking, right? So anything and everything which I've tried to do in my career and as a professional, I wanted to make sure that I'm authentic on that, I'm integral on that. I may not be the smartest kid in the room, but I will not take a shortcut. right? I would do the difficult right rather than the easy wrong, right? And I believe that if you do things consistently, and as a leader, that is absolutely non-negotiable. That you walk the talk, you are authentic, and authenticity. And while it may seem, Nanda, as some big terms and glossy word, etc., in reality it is very simple, right? If you say that you will be at 4 o'clock, I'm giving you some real life example. If you say you'll be at meeting at 4 o'clock, you better be there at 3:55, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Especially when you're dealing with a team, right? If you tell them that you will come back to them with an answer, make sure that you go back with them. Even if you don't have the answer, right? You can come back and say, "Hey, Nanda, I'm sorry, I still haven't," or maybe tell them the answer which they may not be expecting, right? Thank you for reaching out. I really appreciate you doing it. Unfortunately, I'm not able to do because of ABC reasons,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that authenticity, those small steps, those walking the talk, that making sure felt is something I felt is very, very important. And I always try and look for that in a leader. I said empathy as well, because in a leader, you what does a leader do? Is a leader is a person who is at the front of a queue, right? Effectively, he is leading a team of people, right? And if you do not have empathy in what you deal, empathy in what you say, you will not be looked upon as a good leader. You could be a good taskmaster, but for you to have a good leader, you have to have empathy. Now, empathy doesn't necessarily mean only empathy towards the employee. You have to have empathy to, as a leader, you have to be empathy towards the organization. So sometimes you have to do the right thing for the organization, right? And sometimes you have to do the right thing for the people, and you have to find that balance. But ability to take that and take the tough calls as well. And how I test it is basically I'm looking for, as I'm interviewing people, as you said, the skills that can be taught and given from. I'm always looking for examples which they can share in their life, where I'm looking for how they have done in an uncertain environment, and what did they do when things were, he had an option of, picking up an easy solution. Did he do the difficult right or the easy wrong? So those are the kind of things, and I feel that those values has hold me in good stead, personally speaking, as well, over my career.
That's nice. Now, what does success mean to you today versus somebody 25 years ago? Because I keep talking to a lot of people, students also, especially. Everybody has a different reason. They come to meet me in the office. Sir, ye video dekha, wo video dekha. We want to meet you. And then somebody wants to get married. Somebody wants to impress the girl's father. Somebody really needs a 6-digit package. Somebody at least 50,000 to start off with, to have a improved family living standard or something like that. Now अभी CXOs, अभी leadership level, मुझे इज्जत चाहिए types, like I need reward, respect, recognition and all. So what does success mean to you today versus 25 years ago, sir?
Yeah, and you answered some of that already in the question. 20, 25 years back.
वही है मेरा
And
problem.
I'm a very simple guy deep down, right? I'm quite similar to many of us who were starting their career. So, as a lot of other people, 2 decades back, or when I started my career, success was very, very simple. It was external, it was measurable, right? Where am I working? What is my title? What is the trajectory? How much money am I going to make? That is how I looked at success as well. And like a lot of us look at that at early stage. And then there's nothing wrong in that, right? It's very, very important to be able to, get the basics in place before you kind of think about it. And I don't think there's anything wrong in that at that stage. But somewhere along the journey, as you said, the shift starts to happen, right? Uh, and it becomes more relatable, more tangible. As an example, I remember how I look at my last couple of roles as success. Did I help someone in that role or company become a better version of themselves? Right? Have I created something which will which will continue to work even me without being there in that room? I long back heard something, and I'm now actually trying to implement that in real sense. That the best manager is when he's playing golf and his team is able to execute. And since I started playing golf about 4 years back, I've started to actually live that to a true sense.
That's
That
nice.
I am able to play golf 3-4 days in a week, but at the same time making sure that the ecosystem is there where things are happening. So I think in that sense it tries to evolve over time, and I'm sure everybody has will do something similar. But I'm still learning, to be honest, right? I think to be genuinely honest with you, I think it is an experience you continue to evolve and accumulate on. And I think when I sit back at some point in time and do a honest measure of my career, when I look back on it, it will, I don't think it'll ever be the roles I held, right? Because I have always had good roles, but I think it's also the people who I've interacted with. I know some of my best friends are people who I've met in corporate, and I think that for me is a good reflection of where my career is would have had ended at some point. But when I get calls from people saying that I wanted to speak to you, and they still address me from 20 years back or 10 years back and said, I was there with PwC when you joined, or KPMG, etc. That's really touching. That in some ways, consciously, sometimes unconsciously, a lot of time unconsciously, you touched upon people and impacted their lives. And I think that is what success means today.
Yep, yep, absolutely. Is there any one habit that changed your personal and professional life?
Uh,
Even
Let me think.
spiritual, you can share.
I mean, I think if I were to say one habit which changed my personal thing was being humble. I think that I think, and also some point in time having a very close group in front of which you can say anything and everything, right? And I've had that partner in my wife from day
Oh, wow,
one.
nice.
And I always said that you become friends first and then life partners later. So I think is important. So that 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 thin line between confidence and arrogance is where I think kind of you have to be extremely confident, because every other person, if not every person, would want to may not be always happy with your success. They may be jealous of you, or not jealous is a very strong word, but may not be as excited. So you have to be extremely confident. You have to be able to make sure. But everybody has areas they can do better, and you need to be able to open up to people and share whatever has gone wrong, and be candid that I made a mistake, sorry, I raise my hand, accept the mistake and move on.
वही नहीं आता, सॉरी बोलना नहीं आता लोगों को.
नहीं, हमको सॉरी बोलना बहुत सिखाया ब्रिटिश वालों ने, लेकिन गलत जगह पे सिखाया. We sometimes send sorry where we actually did not made a mistake, right?
Yeah.
But we need to be saying sorry where we actually make a mistake.
I mean,
And we
you said a beautiful line, confidence and arrogance, and you also spoke about humility, empathy, integrity, and all. I often see, people, एक 5 साल कुछ काम करते हैं, and then they turn down, on the managers who trained them.
Yeah.
Like, you understand, right? जो फ्लोर पे होता है कभी कभी थोड़े
Yeah.
लोगों के, and these people miss out to become leaders in the company. And sometimes people go an advanced level, where they may talk, in a unpleasant tone, directly with the owners or the leaders. Now these people miss those promotion or something that accelerates their career. So how do you think they can fix this confidence versus arrogance, that bridge?
Like I said, you need to have a shoulder to cry on, right? You need to be able to let your steam out, right? In a pressure cooker, if the nozzle on the top is not working properly, and the steam is not let out, the cooker will burst. So it's important to know
उसमें कुछ
where
अटक
is the,
गया
what
हो.
is yeah, exactly. You need to know what is a safe zone where you can vent out, and where you need to keep on some kind of a decorum, so to say, facade sort of thing. But that doesn't mean you lose your authenticity, because it can be misunderstood that you still have to be genuine. You still have to say what you believe in, right? Don't just sugarcoat because somebody would not like it, because that will not be very helpful in the longer run. But having that window or close group of friends or family or whoever it is, It could be a mentor in the office as well. It not just be relatives, right? It could be a mentor in office who can be a go-to person to vent out, and then recognizing, I have had lots of times under where I've had some really not so pleasant moments in my corporate life, and I've had some really difficult conversations. And one thing I learned, and again a small quick tip for your colleagues and your students, for example, if you are angry, or if you're not frustrated, angry is again a wrong word, or not happy, let's put it that way. If you got a strong email and you want to draft a reply, but never send.
सही है, सही है, सही है.
And let me complete. Never send the same day. Never send the
Yeah,
same day.
yeah,
Sleep over it, and more often than not, एक कहावत है हिंदी में, रात गई बात गई, right? Our forefathers have taught us some really amazing things. When
yeah,
you look at it 24 hours later, you yourself realize that maybe it wasn't such a big issue.
yeah, yeah.
And then you tone it down appropriately, you choose the right words, and still send it out, but you will yourself realize that the words you use, the tone you were trying to communicate was overly aggressive, and that does not help anybody. And the only other thing I would say, but just as a closing comment on this one, I see some questions also, we may want to take that,
Yeah,
Nanda, uh, is also the fact that go and talk. In today's world, this instant messaging, email, etc., does not communicate what you feel. Right? You have to make sure that you understand what the other person is saying, and the other person needs to understand how you feel. So, pick up the phone, do a video call, go to a meeting room, and share. Then, I hear you, Nanda, but I don't agree with you, or I disagree with you, or I feel differently. And once you share that perspective, 10 times the chances are that the other person will understand.
absolutely, absolutely. वो reconciliation का बात नहीं होता. That's the problem.
And and
बहुत.
and people in the COVID days are talking about, what's the need for going to office? Where I can work from home. Why do I need to go to office? You need to go to office for this,
Yeah,
because I truly believe that, if I had not worked a day in day out, and people had not helped me make those mistakes, and helped me hold my finger when I was trotting, I would not achieve that. And in virtual doesn't give that feeling. You have to be meeting people in flesh and blood, and share and convenient. I mean, it's not always easy across the borders, but wherever you can, it's important that you meet that, and build that personal connect.
did any of your previous bosses yell at you, which you felt it was you were being abused, kind of?
No, no, I don't think, at least I was fortunate enough in the companies I worked with. Yeah, you could have scenarios where the tone, or the voice could be louder, or could have been softer. I would have probably done that at some point in time myself, right? But if you have the relationship, if you do consistently the right thing, then the other person will also understand. Yeah, the person had a bad moment, and then next day you'll yourself realize, and you say, hey, you know what? I'm sorry. I raised my voice in that meeting. I didn't mean to, and apologies. And you do that, and you suddenly realize that the entire thing is vanished. That entire ill feeling, or gap or misunderstanding, that entire thing just vanishes.
Absolutely. Okay, sir. Let's take a few questions from
Sure.
the also. Uh, Let me just bring that to the screen while we are here. Okay, thank you
I'm
very
seeing
much.
here a couple here. I'm seeing one question from Joyce Sujana. She says, when you appeared for the AA exam in 2003 by going to Texas, how significant was it for you at that time? Not that the exam is more easy, how do you perceive its value today?
Yeah.
So great question, Joyce. I think the professional qualification still has its value. Doesn't really matter whether you do it in India, Bangalore, paper, virtual, etc.
Yeah.
Getting a professional qualification is very, very important. And once you decide to make a career in a particular business or a particular industry, you need to be making sure that you put the right credentials. It helps you get to an understanding of what the need for the client could be, and also sometimes it just adds some credential on day zero.
Yeah.
I've always said this one. I'll give you context with the CV. A CV should be one which should invite you for the interview, not do the interview itself. So it should show as much as it should hide. So similarly, professional qualifications and the CV really helps you get a right input or this one on day one, and it is helpful. I'll just go off video for a second and try to get a battery charger here. But
Okay.
just to finish the conversation, in
Fine, sir.
terms of for me personally, Joyce, it was also very important because at that time, that year, my wife was actually pregnant, and it was the month of September. When I went for the exam 2020 2003, it was very important that I clear it in one attempt. So I had that extra incentive to make sure that I'm done. But professional qualifications in our kind of business are absolutely needed, Joyce.
That's nice, sir. Hope Joyce is joyful now. Well, coming back to another question. चलो हम ऊपर से आते हैं एक बार.
Sure.
We'll start from the top.
A lot of,
Padmini has a question. Hi Ashish sir, for someone starting in US taxation today, what skills differentiate top performers within the first 2 to 3 years?
So the question is specifically on US tax. So I would say that you need to do three things, at least couple of things which come straight to mind. But maybe one, make sure that what is being Nanda, when you're putting up the screen, I think there's a duplication here. So
No,
and I
that's
have it
okay.
open on the. Oh, is it okay?
Streaming will take time. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Don't look at that.
Okay. No, I was just trying to see what is the audience getting to see. But yeah, in terms of starting a career in US tax, make sure that whatever you are learning, you will learn a lot in the US tax area because there's federal tax, there is state tax. The tax changes every year. You have individual tax, you have corporate tax. So you'll not be able to remember everything, but you need to be able to have at least a thought that, oh, I read something about it, or I believe there is something around it. So it should trigger off some kind of reaction or a thought in you, a flag, so to say, so that you can go back and refer the manual or go back and ask. So that's the quality number one. Quality number two for you to be a top performer would also be how quickly can you minimize the learning curve, right? People expect that you will have a learning curve, but how quickly you minimize that curve would be a big differentiator. Can you go from a staff to a first reviewer in 2 years or 18 months compared to somebody who could take 3 years, for example? So how quickly you learn technicals initially would be an important driver as well. And last but not the least, I also think that you need to, as I said earlier in a different context, you need to learn from your mistakes. And in the tax concept, I don't even call that as a mistake. It is not for sure. It's the review note. So when you get a review note from somebody or something you have prepared or reviewed for that matter also, understand what is that person telling you. Why is it that Padmini, you did not identify that? Was it a knowledge issue? Was it a rush that you did not see it, or is it something which you did not totally understand? So use the review notes as a learning, and if you do not make, as I said, make new mistakes. I used to tell my colleagues, etc., and friends, make new mistakes. Learn from make new mistakes means you are trying something new and you're learning from your old mistakes. So as long as you do these 2-3 things, Padmini, I think you're absolutely on the fast track.
Okay, cool, sir. Let's take another question from Prem. Hi Ashish sir, what was the one mindset shift that transformed your journey from where you started to where you are today, and how can we apply it in our careers? I think you answered it, but if you
I kind of
want
touched upon it, yeah,
yeah.
with the willingness to take the risk a little bit, but come to think about it, Prem, I think the other thing is, accepting that people in the room probably know more than you as well, right? Ask that right questions and give people an opportunity to speak. And that I think is an important mindset, because I've had opportunities and instances where somebody who was absolutely silent in the meeting suddenly made a comment or this one, which actually put the entire room to silence.
Yeah, hota hai.
He or she said something. He or she said something. I said, we never anybody thought about it.
Yeah.
So if you see that somebody in your
team or your group or your circle is not contributing, encourage that person to open up. He or she may be either having a language barrier or hesitancy or whatever. And if you feel that the person is not speaking, but take them outside, you make him a friend, make him a buddy. So that's a mindset which is important. I think the other thing, from a mindset, the only other thing which probably comes to my mind on an instant basis is, take some things prima facie, right? Don't try and read too much between the lines. If somebody is telling you, I had one example where the person said, why do you take so much holidays? And then one example, many years back, and then it's like, first I was like, why are you even asking me? I mean, how is that related to you? And then I realized that in the US, they probably don't have that many holidays. Not that you don't get the number of holidays, but we will have a Ganesh Chaturthi, a Raksha Titiya, a Pongal, a Diwali, a May Day, and God knows whatever else, right?
Yeah.
And every time you would say it's a festival in India, the guy was really, had no context of it, right? So the fact that he's asking that question to you, mindset perspective, to who was the person? Santosh. Was it? Or,
Prem,
what's
Prem,
that?
Prem.
Prem. So the first perception or reaction could be, oh no, why are you bothered? Sorry, but why are you asking? As against that, understand that there may just be a genuine reason. The person just doesn't know what he doesn't know, and that helps you, address a lot of things in a very positive way.
Okay. That's nice. I'm happy to see the viewers increasing.
7.9, 7,900. We were I thought it was 1,800 a little while back.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
happened here?
I don't know. That's your magic. Okay. Fine. We'll take up another question from Santosh now. So Santosh is asking, what is the major challenge that you have experienced when you're trying to build GCCs in India? It would be great if you throw some light here.
So I'll try and touch upon. There are actually various aspects to this, Santosh. I think, but I'm assuming you're thinking of it from either a business perspective or a talent perspective, and I'll try and touch upon those two. And if you have anything else, feel free to ask. I think from a business perspective, the challenge was in the early days was to develop the proof of concept, right? The fact that actually you can sit 10,000 miles apart and do a US tax audit or a US tax return or the financial books as an example. That was the biggest challenge. I think along the journey, the challenge then became of how do you engage and retain talent, right? People kind of started to not see careers out of this industry, or they were probably not patient enough to kind of see an outcome around it. So those were the challenges. I think the other challenge was also representing the capabilities of the India firm and the GCCs and the talent to the US. I'll give a example of my first ever trip to the US right after 9/11. I was an assistant manager. I think it was a third year or fourth year, 4 year experience. I was the Deloitte, one of the guys. So I was asked to represent the India firm, and there were about 75 or 80 partners in an office of Deloitte in a place called Parsippany in New Jersey. And I was trying to stand there and trying to convince them as to what we can do from India. Little I know about GCC at that point in time, little I knew about tax at that point in time, but I knew that if I am given the opportunity, or the team is given an opportunity, we can give it our heart and soul. And I think that over time also became a bit of a challenge, that because as people have their own experiences, they kind of bring along that journey. So those are some examples which kind of think about.
That's really nice. Rishita has a question here. I think we kind of touch base this one also. Sir, how is AI transforming US taxation, and what skills should students develop to stay relevant in this evolving field?
Yeah, so I think the jury is out on this. To be honest, we still need to see the true impact of it. I think the impact is evolving as we speak. So no one really knows what it would mean in the end state. But as I said briefly, as an example, when you do
tax work, like any tax professional would know, the starting is books of accounts, right? So a lot of automation is already happening to take your PNL, a financial PNL, to make it a tax PNL. That's getting automated, as I said earlier. I think a lot more, references are available. So, for example, earlier days, I think it was Quick Finder. I'm trying to remember the
Yeah,
name.
yeah.
I don't really.
Yes, yeah.
So we used to get the physical book of the Quick Finder and used to refer that, looking at the
State
lines
credits,
and the
yeah.
forms, and they used to change, etc. And these days with technology, you don't need any of that. So I think the other big thing you will see, Rishita, on that from a transformation is that you'll be able to understand the problem a lot faster. So, for example, if a client is coming you and asking you for an advice of an industry which you are, reasonably aware, but you may not know everything about that, right? In the good old days, it had to take us, anywhere between a week to 3 weeks to us to do a detailed study on the industry. Now with AI, you can actually go back and say, you know what, Shell is in the oil and gas industry. Give me a comparison of how does it do on matrix. What are the other advantages? So the tool can really help you get a better version of yourself, be able to add more value to the client at a significantly faster pace, and obviously that means cheaper as well. So like I said, it's still evolving, Rishita, but early signs are that it will be extremely helpful for you, at least from a research and application perspective.
Well, good, sir. I think we will touch the 10K or something soon. A good show. Good show. I had this kind of experience with Mr. Ardik. Again, I think that is you. Yeah, thank you very much, sir. So, any one final message for young professionals watching today before we close, sir?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've already said a lot, but
A lot
I think
joined
the
now again. So, so anything
Yeah,
you would
I think
like to
the
say
one
and
thing which I learned, Nanda, the hard way, is that careers are like marathons, right?
yeah,
They are not sprints. So keep learning, stay humble, and be ready to grab your opportunity when it comes. So be fully prepared when the opportunity comes, because the first opportunity doesn't come a second time. And they say opportunity knocks only once. So whichever way you want to call it. So I think that's something which I think would be important for me to think about as I as you said about the closing comment. But yeah, no, absolutely enjoyed this conversation. Right, and I've been fortunate to have been spending all these years in GCCs building teams, and I'm happy to see professionals grow. And I hope that the practical insights that we shared today, and Nanda's asked all the tricky questions that she asked, will help you as students, as professionals, navigate your own journey. And wish you all the very best. And like I said, believe in yourself much more than anybody else believes in you. Because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will.
absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir, for such a insightful, inspiring conversation. I'm sure my wife will be questioning me. I spent almost 2 hours with you. इतना टाइम तुम मुझसे भी बात नहीं करते बोलेगी वो. Well, thank you very much for your time, and your journey truly shows that, with the right mindset, perseverance, and long-term thinking, anyone can build a global career from India. I wish you all the very best for your new ventures also, sir. And as I said, just keep our students in mind. So, a mentor like you, I think people should be fortunate enough to work with a leader like you. And it would be a pleasure to provide you the manpower that you may need. Thank you very much for all the valuable insights, sir. We look forward to speaking to you once again very soon.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Thanks a lot. And please stay connected. Feel free to reach out on LinkedIn, and if there's anything I can do, I'll be happy to. I've learned from my colleagues and peers, and I'm happy to share whatever I can. So
Definitely.
thank you once again for all your patient listening. And yeah, I didn't realize it was 2 hours as well. But thank you for having me here, Nanda. Thank you to iLead, and thank you everyone for joining and listening patiently.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, guys.
So, well, people, that was Mr. Ashish with us. It was such a great show. Thank you very, very much, everybody, for making it so very pleasant. Thank you very, very much. I truly enjoyed, every bit of this show. And as I always say, if you have any other industry leader in mind whom you feel, must be interviewed on this particular forum, I would encourage you to please write to us, istudy@ileadtax.com. We would love to connect with that person and get him featured here. Yeah. And I can't wait to see you also, grow up to such a level wherein you will be interviewed on forums like this. Yeah. I love you very, very much. And don't be worried, about the new PSI centers, whether it's going to be a physical center or a remote center, whatever. Just prepare for the examination. Exam to July se shuru ho raha hai, so don't be anxious. Do not be anxious about anything. Trust God, trust yourself. You heard the final lines from Mr. Ashish. Preparation to karna hi hai, right? So prepare karo. And the future belongs only to those who prepare for it. Okay? Not those who worry about it. Whatever be the news, exams will be there. The remote centers, the remote examination models are also on. Still, we need more clarity, and as you know, once we get full clarity, I'll definitely come up with a complete video, detailed video. Yeah, chalo. Until then, please do like, share, comment, and thank you very, very much for being there for almost 2 hours. Love you very much. Yeah, God bless you.